Hello YouTube, I would like to share some of the information I have found during my research on sustainable energy. I've organized this PowerPoint presentation to clearly show you the energy problem we have these days in the United States and the world. The energy and the environment, the supply and the demand of energy, conventional fossil fuels versus non-conventional fossil fuels, renewable energy sources, nuclear power, the transportation challenge, and achieving a sustainable energy balance. So currently, our energy problem is due to the fact that 80% of our global energy and 83% in the United States of America comes from a finite supply of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are concentrated in relatively few regions of the world. Fossil fuels creates tons of pollution, greenhouse gases, toxic waste emissions, landscape degradation, and requires enormous quantities of fresh water. Global energy demand is increasing due to the fact that population growth and the standard of living are drastically increasing. So the main question we ask ourselves is, are we running out of energy? Well, not according to the first law of thermodynamics. We know for a fact that the sun provides a constant supply of energy that is 10,000 times our current rate of consumption in the world. Earth's stored energy in the form of fossil fuels is being depleted and is increasingly more difficult to extract. Also, Earth's stored energy in the form of nuclear energy is largely untapped, but utilization poses difficulties and huge risks like we have seen in disasters in Japan and in the Ukraine. So the challenge is providing sustainable and non-polluting energy supplies that meet the growing world's demand. So as far as energy and the environment, we have both local and global concerns. As far as global concerns, we have the ozone layer depletion. Also, the greenhouse gases and global warming have been leading to climate change. As far as our local concerns, is most likely due to air pollution from carbon monoxide, NOx, SO2, ozone, and volatile organic compounds, as well as particulate matter that are polluting our air. So we also have degradation of scenic and wilderness areas from mining, drilling, and also waterway diversions. And another problem we face is the waste disposal from nuclear and coal and oil burning byproducts. So here are some of the greenhouse gases and their contributions. Water vapor being the highest, and carbon tetrachloride being the lowest contributor. So here's a pretty picture of the greenhouse gas effect, what I will explain to you. So as the rays come from the sun and hit our atmosphere, some of them reflect back into space and some refract into our atmosphere, eventually hitting Earth, which they reflect off the Earth back into our atmosphere and reflect and refract from there on repeatedly. So here's the temperature change prediction by the year 2100 by the IPCC Climate Change Board. They predict that temperatures will rise from 2 degrees to 4 and even to 5 degrees C on average every day. So how about the supply and demand? How long will fossil fuels last? This has very much so to do with the reserve to production ratio, which I will be calling RP ratio. The demand is increasing, but so are the reserves. We've been aggressively exploring new oil and gas wells. So here's a comparison from non-conventional to conventional fossil fuels. For example, the oil sands in Alberta It's been known that they have 10 to 25 of the world's proven oil reserves contained there. However, they are difficult to extract. Another example is oil shale, coal bed methane, and methane hydrates. The problem with some of these is the technology is very undeveloped and inefficient currently. Excuse me. There's been a movement for cleaner coal. This involves coal gasification, which reduces on the particulate matter, coal liquefaction, which utilizes a synthetic process which makes fuels similar to diesel and gasoline. Another clean coal phenomena is the carbon sequestration, which captures carbon dioxide and absorbs it into a solvent. Later, this carbon dioxide is stored deep underwater in our oceans and also deep in the earth. Here is a diagram of carbon dioxide sequestration from our power stations. So now on to renewable energy sources. They include solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, hydroelectric, and ocean energy systems. Here's a typical photovoltaic farm. It generates solar electricity and powers the surrounding neighborhoods. Some of the problems with this is they take huge amounts of land, but they are renewable and clean, so there's trade-offs here. Here's another solar thermal device here, and all the solar panels around it are reflecting sunlight as well as converting it to energy into the central receiver. Here's a solar dish Stirling engine. These are highly efficient but are very massive, and you wouldn't want to have these in your backyard just to the sheer size. But this you do want to have at your home. It's a solar thermal domestic water heater. It utilizes solar panel photovoltaic cells that are cooled by water, and in return you get hot water. This is really important because the solar cells efficiency decreases the hotter they are. So you get the best of both worlds. You get high efficient solar panels and you get free hot water. Wind energy are my favorite types of renewable energy because they can be really on a small scale in your backyard, or they can be massive wind turbines that are in the ocean. So geothermal energy is very complicated, and we don't have very many geothermal factories here in the United States compared to other types of factories. They are an engineering modern marvel and are very complicated. Biomass energy is very interesting. It converts our food waste, sawdust, wood chips, and corn, and all other materials that could be put into the landfill, but they are used to make energy, which is crucial. Now moving on to large hydroelectric power plants. The one here shown here is Hoover Dam. There are many benefits of hydroelectric power because it utilizes water to make electricity from generators. However, there are negative feedbacks like diverting the water stream and the local wildlife at the scene of the dams. Ocean energy is fairly new technology, and we have been using it in the United States. As far as nuclear power, it is very debatable because a lot of people are for it and a lot are against it, just because of the mass casualties that have happened in the past using this type of power source. However, it's got a low fuel cost and there's no carbon dioxide emissions. On the contrary, waste disposal. What are you going to do with all that waste? So now moving on to some of the alternative fuels we can use for transportation in our cars. These include natural gas, propane, and other carbon-neutral fuels like biodiesels and the alcohols of ethanol and methanol. Also, hydrogen fuel cells have been created for internal combustion engines, which also provide output of no carbon dioxide, and also electric vehicles that have been so popular in the last decade. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I really hope you learned something.